Greetings and welcome. This is PsychicMediumRoberto, and I truly hope you're doing well. I remain humble in the presence of Spirit. May we be guided and led during the reading. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. All cases, names, people are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. All numbers used in this case pertain to the case context specifically and may not bear resemblance to similar or same numbers you may have in your date of birth. All right, so here we have a cold case investigation. Anna Schneider, at the age of 19, was found deceased, half in and half out of a swimming pool on the early morning of July the 4th, 2009. And I'm just confirming the location, coming out of the Arlington Heights, Illinois. And originally the case was declared or was assumed, or the coroner had said, accidental drowning. But if we know the backstory to Anna, she was an avid swimmer. She was, by all accounts, more than an average swimmer, and had accomplished a lot as a swimmer on her own already, and was also interested in marine biology. So water, maybe trip and a fall. The issue is a second autopsy was done recently. So a second autopsy was done on July the 16th, 2020. And that autopsy has now since said they detected high levels of chloroform in her system, that what would have been in her system. So obviously some kind of tranquilizer or something to that effect. So we'll have a look at that. No water in the lungs. I'll repeat, no water in the lungs, only water in the nostrils. So by all accounts, by the time she got to the pool, or however she got to the pool, swimming pool, she was already deceased, right? So we can maybe presume already there's some kind of staging, so we'll look for staging numbers. So let's have a look. This happens on Independence Day, right? Early mornings, Independence Day. So unfortunately for the family, the passing of your child, particularly to strange circumstances, and being on the 4th of July, is something that would have been humdrum in the brain for life, unfortunately. All right, let's have a look. I must say, at an initial look at the story here, some things are not adding up. There's clear evidence to support the narrative, but there's also other numbers that aren't supporting the narrative. So we got a mix and mash, maybe a layer cake situation. At the time of her passing, which is relevant, is she was having a friend over. They were having casual drinks at the pool or around the house. By the narrative, the friend goes in to go get a soda or something to drink. The time she comes back, Anna is found deceased, or having, been passed out. Some reports say she only passed while at the hospital. By all accounts, the call was called in immediately. The friend woke the parents up, who apparently were sleeping at the time. But something's definitely not adding up. So let's look at the numbers that are standing out as problematic. And hopefully by the end of this reading, we can have a definitive, or as at least close to what transpired. So testing the narrative, July 3rd ends with a 12-3-3. So it brings in the elements of party, relaxation, company, in the home environment. In the +9, we see a 30 outcome 3. Now, if the narrative said there was a big house party, then I'd say 30 outcome 3 would indicate the party. But yeah, this 30 outcome 3 can bring around, I want to say, at least at a chemical level, there's a chemical explosion. Now, could this be the chloroform that has now been detected in her autopsy? At the time of this recording, which is, so at the time of this recording, December the 10th, no one's been booked. Apparently, there's not enough evidence. So let's just see what's going on. So there's definitely a chemical explosion. So, okay, so possibly right on the narrative, right? In the zone where she is discovered, there's a 4 and surrounded by triple 11 twos. Now, we are in 11-2 year, and the month is July, so it's a 7. So we got triple 11 twos. This is saying, in my opinion, something very illegal has happened here. Now, I know that might sound obvious, finding, pretty much deceased person at the poolside. However, there's hints here now that as a result of what was happening before the event, in other words, were they consuming something that they could have got the day before as a little fun party trick, if you know what I mean? And as a result of taking whatever that was, brought around a death, which means there could be illicit drugs, or I want to say, and I don't mean to tarnish anyone's character, but I want to say there could have been, let's say, medical drugs, like what you would get from medical facilities, but due to the dosage can be an overdose or becomes poisonous to the system. Was the friend tested for any chemicals? I guess not, because the chemicals in the friend may be the same as the chemicals found in Anna. So let's go deeper. Let's continue going. So on the day of the discovery, we got problems, right? Triple 11 twos. In the intention during the discovery time, there's a 7+7 issue. 7+7. That for me, with a 7+7 conflict, raises the level of in terms of who the perpetrator is, or what was the perpetrator, or what is the perpetrator. So we've got a 7+7 conflict here. That's not a good conflict to have. Let's not point fingers just yet. Let's keep going. All right. In the +9, now in the discovery, I'll get to this next number 9 in a minute, but I want to just show you in the outcome, all is revealed. There's a 13-4 where the 4 is when she is discovered. So on one hand, it can bring in the element of a natural death or a death, but let's just say versus an intended murder, or someone intended to murder her. That's an asterisk at the moment. So we don't want to jump to conclusions. So there's a hidden, so at the time of her passing, there's no water. Let's be clear. At the time of her passing, between July the 3rd and July the 4th, there's no highlights here of water. Okay. Only when we get to the +9, let's say on the exit door of the crime scene, we find hidden 20 outcome 2. Now, this hidden 20 outcome 2, I don't believe is water, obviously, but I believe an emotional state. And it's in conjunction with all of these 11 twos. So was there panic? For example, instead of panicking and running around, maybe her life could have been saved. Or if they called an ambulance, they could have saved her. but because the possible chemicals that were consumed, may have brought the fear of being arrested for narcotics, because July 5, what would be the midway point of the +1, there's a 5-year, which brings in the issue of can bring around narcotics, but there's also human interference here. There's a human interference. All right, so we got a nasty 5. Now, there's another anomalous number here. In the action of when she is discovered, when Anna is discovered, there's a 10-1. Now, if this was any kind of other crime show, I would say the elite are involved, or there's some kind of something. But if we try to keep it at an interpersonal level, it could indicate a mini explosion, if you like, the 10-1. If we look at in conjunction with the 30 outcome 3. So you got a 30 in play, 3-0, and there's a 10-1 in play. So we're talking energies and little, if you want to go micro, there's some kind of, could be an aneurysm because it's followed by a 17-8. So whatever she may have consumed or was given, we'll still decide, was she given it, like, did she know she was consuming something, or was her drink jimmied, or did they buy Hong Kong drugs, or like in these days, current situation with the fentanyl issue, 0.01 milligram, don't quote me on that amount, but what I'm getting to is a small amount can become an overdose, right? And when you're dealing at a microscopic level, I even Googled, what is the current status on chloroform currently? And I just did a one-level layer research, nothing hectic. But by all accounts, it was deemed illegal, I believe, post-70s. So to get chloroform currently, and even back in 2009, you can only obtain that kind of level of drug, if you will, is through medical means. And interestingly, having said that, because I've been struggling to find the answer, I haven't found all the pieces, and here maybe is a piece. And that is, so in the real, when they discover her, right, 7-4-11-2, the outcome of that day brings in 22-4. 22-4, which can be a medical facility. 13-4, prescription medication. Now there is now a physical anomaly. I did try to get as much info as possible, but not too much. There was reports of bruising on her hands and arms, bruising on her face, and in particular one side of the nose, on the left-hand side of the nose, if I remember correctly. So we don't know. That, for whatever reason, has never been investigated either. This is what I'm getting to. There's some anomalies in the real, in other words, in what transpired in the case, that in themselves don't make sense. And in the numbers here, I'm seeing a similar situation. So it's almost like, and this 5, in the July 5, the day after, which is reflecting that we definitely don't know the full extent of the story that happened in the privacy of a home. Whether for the sanctity of family values and family name, some things were covered up before officers got there, I'm just saying. As an example, all the party tricks were taken away, if you like. Some people sent home, but by all accounts, there were only 2 people there, right? All right, so let's go deeper. Did someone arrive in the late hours, like a 15-6, And I will say there is a 15-6 around. In other words, now 15-6, broadly speaking, can be a boyfriend, can be an ex, can be a brother, that kind of level. Now, so there's definitely a 15-6 hanging around. Whether the 15-6 is directly involved, that's another story. Or does the 15-6 have a role in the way that she died? In other words, the 15-6, and I will say I'm not here to disrespect anyone, any name. But a 15-6 can be the peddler or the guy in the corner, come get your Jimmy. Oh, I work somewhere, so maybe come get your Jimmy through me or whatever. I'm just saying it's around. It's around. It might not be a main thing, but it becomes a main thing because that little thing caused a big problem. All right, so let's go deeper. So the main chart has all the regular days, okay, as we know it. I'm being brought back to the July. All right, so +6 on the day that in the zone where she discovered, I mentioned there's this 10-1 is problematic, because now if we stay at an interpersonal level, right, followed by the 17-8 brings in the issues, and we saw this in the Murder family murders, and 17-8 brings in the issue of legacy, right? Family legacy. And Anna's date of birth ends with the 28-10-1, 19-10-1, 10-1. And if we go to her chart here, here's her date of birth. She's born March 24, 1990. So there's the 28-10-1, 19-10-1. So I'm going to say we definitely don't know the full. There's a layer missing. And one could argue, if from the perspective of a family, there's some things you don't want people to know about your daughter, therefore the family. One thing. It will also have, I don't know what the standing of the Schneiders are in the community, but there is issues of money involved, or money, legacy of money or money. However that looks in people's lives. People can treat money differently or see money as differently. I'm just going to say that. It doesn't make sense to me, but it makes sense somewhere, right? The day after the discovery, we have 3, 4, 5 double 11s, 5 double 11 twos. This is like big problems here, big. No shit, Sherlock, but this is big. That there certainly smacks of a cover-up to some extent here. I'm going to say that. We find where all these 11s are, and it's in the +1 zone. So we're still within our 72-hour scan of the crime scene. In the action, we have a 29-11-2. For whatever reason, I'm being cautioned, there's definitely a family element to this. There is certainly a level of intention, I want to say. I know that's going to sound ghastly. Remember, in the beginning, I'm just being hypothesis. Now I'm looking in the action, boots on the ground. The afternoon of July the 3rd, the afternoon, there's a 16-7. So there's a level of scoping. The day before that, in other words, it could be a stalker. Maybe that's what it is. Because the day before, so in other words, July the 2nd, there's a 15-6. And there may have been beef between the 15-6 and Anna. That July the 2nd would be a key day to investigate, in that 15-6 ends with the 26-8, 17-8, which means what I don't know when she got back to the area, because she was on holiday. She was back home for the summer break, being July. 15-6, was it an old fling? Was it an ex? Oh, Anna's back in town. Now I've been really cautioned. But I'm saying, check out who was she contacting a day, or, well, at least 2 days before, and possibly even before, because I'm on a different slide if you're just watching the podcast. I've included a row of calendar dates that go back to June 27. June 27 is where I believe is the start date. June 27 is the start date of what would culminate at the poolside. On that particular day, we have a 27-9. There is a level of premeditation. So we got a 15-6, hidden 33-6. This hidden 33-6 can be the chemicals that become the poison 6. It is very much so reinforced that we find as an outcome on that day, 44-8, some kind of designer drug. 44-8, designer drug. If we're staying at the chemical level, chloroform, as I was mentioning, I was Googling chloroform. I couldn't find the use. Is chloroform used in narcotics like regular drugs? I suppose some people do, some people don't. Who knows what the hell they put in these chemical pills these days, right? This is why I always say, don't do chemicals. You don't know what's in that shit. 15-6, 44-8, designer drug concocted. I was trying to get a lead up into that weekend, or at least July the 4th, to see if there's any kind of outburst. Was there an explosion? Interpersonal level stuff. There seems to be impact on Anna on the 29th of June. I don't know what her itinerary was there. On the 29th of June, we see the outcome of the 46-10-190. So the day for her would have been impactful for whatever reason. This would be another day to look into what was the communication around this time on our phones or internet, whatever that may look like, as well as the 27th June. But by the June the 30th, there's that 30 outcome 3, the chemical bomb. The alternative, if we take away the chemical biological lens and put on people interpersonal, there's a dominant female here having an outburst on the last day of June. Something is not happy. 31-4, by all accounts, according to the narrative, Anna was enjoying university. Things were going great, according to the narrative. However, the day after the outburst, we see a 31-4. 31-4 on a official papers, and things may not be hunky-dory as we might think. Always want to project a good image. 31.4 can also bring around issues of tearing up that uni paper, because it's followed by 37.10.1, 48.12.3, which, if we remain at an interpersonal level, the family's involved, the parents are now involved. This is a big life decision. 32.5, something has been destroyed. 38.11.2, something's not happy. Now, on the right-hand side of the main chart, because this incident takes place July the 3rd, July the 4th, brings around very singular numbers. So I overlapped the energy flow for the 3rd and the 4th, and we note on the evening before she is discovered, there's a 50 outcome 5. Now, 50 outcome 5 can't be a cover-up because nothing's happened yet, as far as we know, the narrative, right? So 50 outcome 5 brings in issues of a very strong narcotic. 50 outcome 5 is a very potent drug. Preceding that is the 33.6. Remember, June 27, where we see the 15.6, the dealer, the peddler, whoever this motherfucker is here. We need to look at who did you make contact with on June 27, or who did the friend make contact with on June 27? Why? Where we see the 15.6, there's a hidden 33.6. We get to party day, the 33.6 is revealed. The party drug. So, on the one hand, we don't want to tarnish the name of the family if there's nothing wrong with having fun one night, but it depends what you have fun with, right? And that's why possibly, because of the nature of the chemical, now they say there's chloroform in there. The chloroform, where did someone get chloroform in 2009? And I'm just assuming, we can get proof of it, but I'm assuming the cooks that make this chemical shit, can put all sorts of shit in it, right? That whatever was consumed or taken is illegal. 11.2 might be sold as legal for like a prescription, but some other cook has put in something else there, toxic. And we have evidence of that in the energy flow, July 4. The outcome of that day where she is discovered, 60, outcome 6, big poison. 6 is poison. 6, the number 6 is poison. So here we have a 60, outcome 6. All the 6 is poison. And you see there's a 43.7, so now I'm still in the energy flow, when Anna is discovered, there's a 43.7. So this is the issue, right? For example, they get said, here's this pink pill. This is the latest craze pink pill, whatever that pink pill represents, right? But meanwhile, it's just coated like a pink pill and it's got a scraping of the logo. So it looks legit, but meanwhile, it's not legit. It looks like something you can trust, but ends up in something you shouldn't consume because it's poison. Big poison numbers, 50 outcome 5, 33.6, 60 outcome 6. So to resolve this case, in my opinion, and regardless of what this may mean to legacy and tarnishing reputations and all sorts of shit, we need to find out during this time in that area were there other fatalities, were there other deaths related to chemicals or narcotics. Because I can tell you now, June 27, everyone getting ready for the big weekend, right? June 27, 15/6, placing an order. 44/8, designer is a possibility. So let's look at, I found that the dates where Anna is then re-exhumed, July 16, 2020. Look what happens here. July 7, 16, with an outcome 7, the day she's exhumed. There's a 7 + 7 conflict. Look at the intention of when she is discovered. 7 + 7 conflict. So 16/7 followed by 14/5, 23/5. Then see, here's this 27/9 that was bugging me. Where did I see it before? Okay. Oh yeah, it's actually on the night. Jeez. So the night before she's discovered. So here's it here. So this day starts badly for whatever reason. July the 3rd. Well, not necessarily badly, but 9. That's not a good number. 16/7 is the conflict. 16/7 is the conflict. And there's an outcome 18/9. So there's definitely smacks of overdose. The overdose we pick up in the energy flow numbers for July the 4th. The row after she is discovered, hidden 40, outcome 4, can be overdose, and we've got all of these 50s, toxic drug, 60, poison. All right, so there's definitely something going on in the background here that we are not aware of, but people are aware of, but not saying. And I believe the start of this event is June 27 in that zone, in that 72-hour zone, I want to say. So let's see what happens the day before. 26/8. 32/5, 14/5, 43/7, 16/7. So in that zone, we need to understand who the contacts were during that time and what were the contacts leading up to that evening. And a fatal dose may be the reason for her passing, unfortunately. All right, let's see and keep an eye on the case. And it might have been somewhat accidental, but somewhat very illegal in the chemicals that may have been involved in this crime. All right, please let me know what your thoughts are. I do love engaging with your comments. And thank you once again for participating on the channel. I do appreciate you. Stay well. See you soon. Bye for now.